This is Todd Spears and Herc Magnus with another weekly webinar for Project Supremacy. V3 probably is what we're going to talk about mostly, and any other burning SEO questions that you may or may not have. We're going to be just fielding a lot of questions today. Nothing super new I don't think we're going to go over today. Few new things coming up in the works, obviously, but I don't think we're going to get into too much revealing today as we're not quite there yet. But anyway, let's get a sound check. Herc, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Good. I can hear you very good as well. So let's do this, guys.
Okay, I guess the first thing is, you guys know we did a best optimization practices webinar last week, so that went really well. I guess people really like that content, which is great. I love that when we get such positive feedback. But I know we brought in a bunch of new members into V3, and I just want to ask, is anybody on the webinar today new to V3? Give me a one if this is either your first webinar or you just recently bought V3 and you're here to check out one of our first webbies. I want to see. I don't think we really even told the people that just bought about webbies yet. So, and I didn't email today either. Okay, Bridget says she might. Bridget. Shit, welcome in, man.
Yeah, that's a new name to me. Welcome.
And then Lenny Marchand, it's fairly new. I see your question there. I'm going to get into questions right away. Thanks for answering that, guys. So one of the cool things in the Project Supremacy group, if you guys haven't joined the group yet, I'm going to just send that link to you right now, the PSv, or I guess it's just the Project Supremacy group. Here's the link in your chat box, guys. Please join that group. All the members are in here. You can help each other out with questions, answers, comments. There's a couple of ones that came in just recently I want to cover. Steve was pretty psyched. His client site went down today and they forgot to renew their domain, but PSv3 emailed Steve and let him know the site had gone down, allowing him to check why, and then the client had to get his credit card out, and now the client thinks that he checks the site every day from him. I'm sure the client's quite happy about that, getting notified that his site went down by the guy that's doing his SEO for him. So, and then of course, Steve didn't really have to do anything. He just got an email from PSv3, because we do notifications when your plugin becomes disconnected, or if your site goes down and stuff like that, we'll send you email notifications. So it's kind of a cool testimonial for V3. I know I love getting the email notifications because I run so many sites. It's common. It's very common for shit to go wrong. I'll tell you that. Right now, I have a whole bunch of SerpTech domains that are going through a renewal process. But for some reason, I have my credit card on file with Namecheap, the domain registrar I used, and the auto renew has been failing. So I have like 6 domains that went down, and of course I didn't know because Namecheap doesn't tell you that. Well, they do, but PSv3 sent me an email as well. So I was able to fix those up. This one I won't read it out loud, guys, but Rich, this was kind of a cool testimonial for V3 as well. Rich doesn't even have WordPress, but he bought PSv3 for 6 reasons: project planner, keyword research, on-page optimization, schema, social optimization, image and video optimization. And what he's doing is he's using V3 to generate all these elements, but then he's transferring stuff over to HTML, which is a really cool idea. So I really liked like this comment as well. It was a cool one in the group. So make sure you guys are joining the group. You get to read stuff like this, and if you have questions and stuff, you get to ask them, and we notify you about webinars or certain little products that come up here and there. For new updates, there hasn't been too much. There's been one very small change. We're up to v3.0.62, so make sure you're updating your plugin. It does auto update itself every 24 hours anyways if there's a new version out, but you can also manually update it yourself. But the new thing in 6.2 isn't huge, but I'll show you what it is. It's very handy though. On a lot of the training webinars, we've talked about Open Graph, and when you go to share a page, when you do Open Graph, okay, so the social stuff, when you create an image and a link and a description and a title, and you go to share that on social media, it doesn't share correctly. And a lot of people think that it doesn't work or something, and it's not really what's happening. What's happening is Facebook especially is caching, they're visiting your page and they're caching what they think the Open Graph data should be. So when you go to share it, if there's a cache from Facebook that's not the same as the current open graph settings that you have, they'll display the cache instead of what you have. So we got the guys to actually put in a little notification after saving your page. So you would obviously do the changes for open graph that you want. Make sure you update your pages so they take, but we put in a reminder for you to visit the Facebook debugging tool to update your cache. But then we took it one step further, and we actually made this link pre-populate your actual URL as well. So now all you guys have to do after you've done your updates and saved your page, just click on this link and it will actually load the correct URL for the page that you want to update for you. Okay, it'll take you right there. It'll pre-populate your URL and everything. So all you got to do to refresh Facebook's cache is just hit the scrape again button. Make sure everything's going well. Make sure you see the image, the title, and the description the way you want it. Once it's updated in the Facebook cache, you now are able to share the freshest version of things. And then for any older versions like this, for instance, is a open graph description that I share. If you have one that's pre-existing out there already and you want to refresh it, all you have to do is click on these three dots and refresh your share attachment, and it will update the share attachment based on the new cache in Facebook. So there it is, gives you a preview, and then if you like it, you could just go ahead and hit save. So that's really the only new update. There is a lot of new stuff coming, some big stuff that we can't talk about yet that's in the works. It's being developed right now. Very, very exciting stuff for everyone who's already involved. And that's probably about it for now. I guess the only other thing is, we changed some buttons just because we were running out of space on the top. So we just changed the way that the buttons operate and stuff like that. So just some functionality and design changes. Let me see. Let's get into questions, guys, because I don't really have anything to teach other than that. So let me see. Mike says it was a big week for PSv3 with him. He's starting to get better at the schema and working through it. And that's awesome, Mike. It does take a little bit, but once you got the hang of it, it becomes easier and faster. One thing I want to say, I also noticed now that you bring that up, for people using the duplicator, especially, or not even just the duplicator, but duplicating schema. So if I have a particular schema like solid, okay, and then I duplicate it, right, and it's going to create a new entry, solid 1. Okay, and then what I do is load it and I move it into a new site. So let's say I move it over to 256b.com. Make sure you're renaming it, okay? Otherwise, if you edit the schema entries in solid 1 will update unless you, it will also update unless you rename it. So I've seen some people that were duplicating and moving a schema, leaving the name the way it was, and then they would update the schema on the new site and the old site would actually change as well. So to get around that, and we'll look at that and we'll try to make sure that that doesn't happen. But make sure you're renaming it, okay, to something else so that when you go to edit that particular schema, okay, it won't update the original schema that it was cloned from. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Lenny Marchand, you're looking at all the training. Is all the on-page SEO done through the project planner through PSSEO? They're connected, Lenny, in kind of, you have to connect them. So you could do it in two ways. So the traditional way with like a plugin like Yoast or V2, or you would just go to the PSSEO box, right? And under general, you would update your title, your URL, your description, right? And then you'd save your changes, and that would become your title and your description that is shown in Google. Okay, that was kind of the old way and the Yoast way of doing things. But with V3, having the project planner, it kind of comes, like I say, I always describe it now as the central dashboard for all your pages and posts on your site. So if you create a new group, okay, so if I go, I'm not going to actually do it on this one because this is a live site and stuff, but if I create a new group, it will be an empty group, and then I can create a page based on that. Okay, let me go see actually if I have something like this, how to buy Ripple. Well, let's just say that this was a group about Ripple, okay, and it was a new group. It's not attached to a page, it's not attached to a post. Then I have a title, Ripple title, whatever. And then description, whatever, right? All this is a plan right now, okay? And it won't, it could be optimized properly and you've done all the stuff to it, but until you either create a new post or page from this group, it will not become backwards compatible and it will not link up, okay? And you can always tell if it's attached to a page or post by this box right here. There will be a green check mark if this particular group is actually attached to a live page or post. You can see this one is not. There's no green check mark there. Okay, so there's a few ways that you can do things. One, you create an empty group, you do the optimization, then you create a blank page from the group that will attach it. Now, no matter where you edit your title, URL, description, H1, it will update in both places, the PS SEO box as well as the planner. Okay, the other way of doing things I've shown on another webinar is an SEO audit where you're going to take, you create an empty group called like an SEO audit. And then what you do is you import all your current pages and posts that are already exist on your site. So this is an example of that. So if I expand everything, okay, and I'm just going to look at posts for now because it's a smaller group. Okay, these are all actually live page or posts. These are all posts on my site. They're all actually live. So if I go to the button here, the actions column, you can see attached to page or post. It has got a green check mark, meaning it is actually physically attached to that page or post, meaning if I do any updates to the title, URL, description, or H1 or notes, everything will update in both places. Okay, so it's not really a short answer, Lenny. It's dependent on how you set things up, right? I always recommend basically there's two scenarios. One, I want to work on an existing site. I will import all the pages and posts so I can see where I'm at. Then I would add the keywords to see what I want to target at, right? Or two, you do keyword research, you optimize for the keywords you want to target, then you create a post or a page so that it is connected. Okay, and I always use the project planner, guys. So literally on my sites, the project planner will be attached on both sides because I like having a dashboard for my SEO. I like looking at everything all in one place. Mike, how many of the same as are you adding? Does it matter? Is there too much? I'm adding 4. Yeah, add the big ones. I don't think there's too much, Mike. Like if you have a website that has, 15 social profiles that are kind of the official social profiles for that group, then I would mark them all up with same as markup and schema. And I don't think there is too many. Just make sure that they're all, like there's always responsible and there's gray hat. If you get some Fiverr guy to create you 100 shit ones and you're not updating them, maybe you don't want to mark those up as same as, because then you're showing, the search engine, or you're showing Google, look, I'm the same as all these shitty Web 2.0 profiles that have fake descriptions and fake names. But if they're real, yeah, go ahead and mark those up. Melissa, any way of connecting a ClickFunnels site with V3? I actually don't know, Melissa, because I've never used ClickFunnels. I would ask that in the group though, Melissa. Rick, I really want to talk about the keyword planner today. I want to see how you start with a clean install, so not using a website you have already set up. I find the hardest part is getting those initial keywords, especially for my competitive terms. Also, the amount of searches in Australia for any keyword is so much less than in America. So there are a lot of keywords with 0 to 10 or 100 searches. I often find when I start keyword project planner, I don't get a lot of keyword suggestions in the beginning. Okay, number 1, Rick. Number 1, and I always say this to people, I don't understand why you would want to see search data only for a specific city or a specific state, because you're disqualifying other people who might not physically be in the location as if they don't matter. Okay, so for instance, when I was in Phoenix, when I was living in Phoenix, I was looking for storage in Edmonton because I was moving back to Edmonton and I had to find a place to store my stuff. But I was in Phoenix, but I was typing in storage places in Edmonton. Now, if you're doing keyword research and say, I'm only interested in how many searches that are coming from Edmonton, I'm disqualifying a relevant search. Why should I do that? So I never, ever look at location specific keyword search volume, because to me, it's not a full measure of what's really happening in the world. I always go global. I always do. Now that's my preference. You don't have to do things that way. I just like to put it that way. Just because someone's not in the location that they're doing a keyword search from doesn't mean that they're a disqualified search, right? Next, as far as keyword planner, I have done quite a few webinars, Rick, where I completely talk about the project manager. So I'm going to point you, rather than go over it, because it is a bit of a long presentation, to show you how to use this from scratch. I'm going to point you to the webinars page, the replays page. Okay. Oops. And I will pump this into your guys' chat box as well. Okay, there you go. Watch Rick, have you watched these two videos? $135,000 affiliate site and a $400 per month fit 5-page site? Just out of curiosity. You have? Okay, well, I don't know what you're missing. And then have you done the search for like project management? Because I have covered the project planner in so much detail. You're obviously missing something on that training. So I mean, it might be the keyword volume thing, but I mean, I've covered this in so much detail. I don't want to, I could spend an hour doing it again, right? A follow-up question he asked was, when we use the scraper in keyword planner to get volume in CPC, how do we make sure we are getting the Australian stats, not the US stats? Yeah, that's the other thing that I just answered. I didn't read that question, but I just don't do that. I think you can though. Okay, so let's do an automatically generate groups and country. You can select by country right here. I just don't know why you'd want to. You just find getting started with a project a little confusing. I mean, it's just practice. I mean, take your seed keyword, create a basic, here, I'll just do a quick one here. So for Bitcoin site, right? Let's say I don't even know what keyword I want to target. Usually I do. I have an idea of what I want to target, okay? But let's say I don't. So let's create a new project. We'll just call it keyword research. I think I might have one, and maybe I'll say today, or whatever today's date is, right? So you're doing keyword research for local business like dentist, say snoring. Okay, fine, let's do that one. I would just start with the very, very basics of things, right? And locality is just a geo modifier, right? So find the keywords that have the most search volume minus the geo modifier, and then add the geo modifier to them later on. And you don't have to just use this keyword tool. You can use any keyword tool and import the keywords, but let's just do it like this way. Let's go to automatically generate groups, okay? And then snoring, it's probably stop snoring, right? Not snoring. Okay, I'm only gonna pull, let's say I'm gonna just pull like 500. Minimum search volume, let's say 500. Minimum cost per click, let's say $1, so we know people are spending money. I don't care about the countries and stuff like that. Right, I'm just gonna run that, and this is gonna be my initial keyword research. It's gonna pull in a bunch of snoring based keywords, and then I'm gonna start from there, going through them and seeing, is there anything I can expand on? Is there any groups that I can that are possible to start creating? Let's see if that ran. Let me go back into it. Let's put that up to 1,000. So it's not pulling keywords right now, so my filters are probably too high. Okay, let's run that again. Let that run for a second. I know sometimes it takes some time. I'm not sure why it's not pulling stuff in right now. Let me try a broader keyword. This is what happens to you. Okay. Well, then when this happens to me, I go broader and I start lowering things because it's not finding what I'm asking it to find, right? So instead of stop snoring, I'll just put in snoring, right? I start going more and more general. So I've already lowered this. I could lower, I'm not going to lower that, but just go more general. unless there's a bug and we didn't get it reported yet, but I just don't see that. I've never seen a bug here yet. There might be though. Anybody else running into this right now out of curiosity? No one's reported it in support desk, so I'm seeing it now though. It's kind of weird. Let me go for a big one, but it always works. If this one works, I know the tool works, and then in the end, what the problem is that snoring it's not pulling groups from the Google AdWords tool. You could always log into the AdWords tool as well and like get the keywords that you think that you like and bring them back over here and just import the keywords. It looks like there might be a bug though that we'll have to look at. There's definitely a bug right now.
It's probably another unannounced API change.
Yeah.
Always is, basically.
Yeah, sometimes Google updates their API and then they don't really say anything. We just find out from bugs and then we have to go in and fix it. So we'll get that fixed up because it does look like there's a bug for sure. But if that's a problem you're having, Rick, then that's, I mean, easy fix, right? We just fix it on our end and then you'll be off to the races again. But I mean, there's other things you can do, guys. There's Keywords Everywhere Chrome extension. I have it installed here. There's Keyword Supremacy. There's all the other keyword research tools. You can of course log into Google AdWords. Let me see something about stop snoring. Oh yeah, there should be tons. Right? Keywords Everywhere will do stuff like this, guys. It'll suggest a bunch for you. And if you like these keywords, just start putting them into a notepad. And then the geo thing, Rick, is just taking the high volume keywords. So something like, stop snoring, maybe not naturally, because obviously that person's not looking for clinical help. They want to do it naturally. But stop snoring immediately, stop snoring while sleeping. These are good keywords to just add geo modifiers to, meaning locations to. You're just making sure when you add a geolocation to any keyword, remember that its search volume is going to drop considerably, probably 90%. Right? So this might get 160 searches in a big city or something like that. Right? Yeah, we pull the keyword planner, Project Supremacy pulls its data right from the AdWords tool. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one for now, guys, because there is obviously a bug there that we have to get looked at. Pierre, can you recommend the best training resource you created for using V3 for a new client? We are doing an SEO for an HVAC. They have a website they like, and we need to work with the existing site. Can you advise what to look at to do to optimize the site and SEO? Pierre, I would go into this this section right here, projectsupremacy.com/webinars. Each one of these is a 2-hour webinar on everything about Project Supremacy V3. Okay, and then there's a search function. I mean, you can even type in the word HVAC and see if we've talked specifically about HVAC. No, we haven't. But we've talked about SEO quite a lot, and we've talked about the project planner quite a lot. So you guys need to be coming in here and looking at how we do things, because we've covered a lot of these, and I don't want to get too repetitive on webinars teaching the same thing over and over and over again, because it kind of defeats the purpose of this whole thing, right? But Pierre, the best thing to do with an existing website is that reverse audit. Okay. Right here, reverse SEO audit to import all pages and post into the project planner. You definitely want to do a reverse audit, see what their titles, descriptions, URLs, H1s are, stuff like that. Do a bit of keyword research for each of those pages and try and figure out, okay, here's the pages they have, here's the keywords that would make sense to target on those particular pages, and then look for missed opportunities as well. Be like, okay, what are other keywords or other pages that we could create to start funneling traffic, to rank that page and then start funneling traffic into the website. But that's what I would do with a client. Reverse audit their website, choose the keywords you want to rank for, fix anything that's obviously needing fixing. And that that of course, knowing what to fix, Pierre, is just knowing how to do good SEO. But we talk a lot about optimizing. Okay, I would do a search for optimizing. See right here, optimize steps. Watch any webinars you can on optimization. How to optimize title and description, how to optimize for a big group of keywords, how to optimize an existing page or post. Definitely be watching these and learning how to optimize, because it is a bit of an art, right? Learning how to optimize the title, URL, H1, and shit like that. Shiv, do you guys recommend PSv3 on SERP sites? Any specific uses for SERP compared to a general money site? Yeah, you could put, well, there's a bunch of things with V3 and SERP that I could say are really, really good. Number one, you have the WordPress management features right away. So if you're building a lot of SERP sites, it's nice to have them all in one place so that you can do any updates to plugins, themes, and shit like that for WordPress management. The other thing is installing schema on those sites if you want to just, because I mean, I still have that site and I still show it to this day. This site still is ranked. It's still got schema, even though I did really spammy schema markup on this site. I just created a single aggregate rating local business schema, and then I forced the homepage schema to like literally every page on the site, and it still works. Like, it is spammy. If this was hooked up to Webmaster Tools, I'm sure I would have a spammy structured markup message, but they're still ranking for a lot of things. At least the last time I checked. Ooh, maybe I'm not getting away with it anymore. But that was there for like over a year. So maybe, and I've always said, guys, spammy schema eventually is going to land you in hot water. So maybe I'm finally hitting hot water now. But I'm still indexed with tons of shit. Let me see. I'll check one more. Yeah, I finally got my spank. It looks like, which is awesome. So now what would I do? I just go create another site. So V3 is good for schema. It's good for titles. Yeah, there's just tons of awesome stuff that you could do with V3. But number one, it would be the management and the schema for SERP sites for sure. Bridget, you're saying not to hook up a site to Webmaster Tools. Well, I'm saying if you're going to be doing spammy sites, you probably don't want to hook those up to Webmaster Tools. But if you're going to be doing legitimate sites, yeah, it's okay to hook those to Webmaster Tools. But I don't know if you know what SERP is. I don't know if you bought that or seen it. But SERP is a mass page builder, kind of. It's not mass, but it's it basically builds a lot of posts and pages for you with duplicate content. And the way it's built, it works. But it is against Google's terms of service. So when you're doing things that are obviously against Google's terms of service, you're really into the black hat area of SEO. No, you don't want to hook that right up to Google Webmaster Tools. You want to avoid that as much as you can. This might be a short one today. I don't want you guys to think either, like, as I'm like, why isn't there any questions? Because every time you guys ask a question, I keep pointing you to the videos. I don't want to get into that either. Can you elaborate on AMP and AMP Lite? AMP is basically accelerated mobile pages. It's a different product, Bridget. It is ours, but it allows you to create a mobile-friendly, fast rendering version of your website by simply installing an AMP plugin, which it's called accelerated mobile pages. I'm really confusing you with that. Let me show you an example. So when you build a website, okay, you're going to have all your posts and your pages, and you're going to rank in Google, right? So let's look at this page, okay? This is what the page looks like on desktop devices. Even on mobile devices, it might organize itself to fit into a mobile screen size. But what AMP does, if I type AMP at the end of this URL, okay, it'll strip a lot of the design elements and serve only a text version that is meant for mobile devices. So what'll end up happening is when you're searching for like a keyword that this page would rank for in Google, Google would actually serve the AMP URL before they would serve the non-AMP URL. Okay, and the reason they do that is because this is a much faster loading version of the page. How does that differ from AMP Lite? I think you're talking about in our plugin AMP Supremacy, we have a Lite, our Lite version, which is just the one you install from WordPress, and then we say get the other. I forget the versions now because I haven't worked with it for so long. But I believe it adds AMP sitemap functionality so that you can actually have Google index and spider your AMP URLs faster. And that's the Lite version. But as far as like the functionality of getting your pages amped and looking like this, it doesn't do anything for that. It just adds a sitemap in AMP format. Is Bitcoin coming back this year? I hope so. Does that answer your questions at all, Bridget? Or help at least? Okay, cool. Anything else, guys and gals? This might be our shortest webinar ever. Is there anybody out there, give me a 1 if this is you, that is stuck on a certain element of Project Supremacy? Like, I don't know how to use this, or I don't know how to use that. Tell me about that if you do. Mike, last week our guest said Google only looks at 3 schemas. Anything after that is spammy or not worth it. Can you talk about that? That was Terry. I don't want to speak for Terry and what he was recommending, but I think what Terry was talking about is like the main schema types. So like local business, organization, brand. You know, there's a lot of different schemas that you can look at. I don't believe that they only look at 3 schema types. They read the entire thing. I don't know what he meant by maybe only the main ones are part of ranking. I honestly can't answer for Terry. To me, I mark up the important shit on my pages. You know what I mean? If there's a video on there, I'm going to mark it up. If it's an article, I'm going to mark it up. If I'm promoting a product, I'm going to put product and brand schema on there. Every page should be looked at as its own entity. And I've always said this with schema. Every page, just think about it like title, description, URL. If you go back to old school optimization, guys, for each page, really what you're doing is you're optimizing your title, right? Your description, your H1 and your URL to rank for certain keywords. But schema is more like, okay, what is the subject matter of this website or this particular web page, not website, this web page? What I'm doing here is I'm showing people a bunch of different places that they can buy Bitcoin in Canada. So to me, it's an article. Okay, so that's why I add article schema, right? The other schema I could add to this page if I wanted to is a brand for my actual website, how to make money with Bitcoin. That is my brand, right? But I mean, I don't really need to put that brand on this page because I think it's more important that the home page holds the brand schema, and then this particular page holds what it's actually about and the article schema. So I don't put brand on this page. Now, if this was instead of an article about, you know, the 4 or 5 different places that you can buy Bitcoin in Canada, but it was actually a review of a single place that I could buy Bitcoin in Canada or a single merchant, then I would do a product review schema. I would add a product and do an aggregate rating for that particular product, right? So you always have to look at the subject matter of the page and mark up the things that matter towards that. And that goes for page to page on your site. Terry is in the Facebook group. Rick asks, where do I get my backlinks for websites? I have a PBN, Rick. I have my own PBN, so I supply my own backlinks. Bridget, you're stuck on getting started, but then that's your problem. Imperfect action is far better than no action. I'll tell you that. Fail your way to learning, stuff like that.
I'll tell you that I've created more cool stuff in my life just by doing the wildest, craziest things out there that that no one else was doing or thought of, and just throwing stuff at the wall, and then lo and behold, something actually works. Now, if you're documenting all those things along the way, then it's then you can deduce what was going on when you got these results, or this this something that came out of it in the end. And you'd be surprised. I just saying that a lot of the things that I've come up with, or that I created in the last 15 years of doing this, it's just been by chance at times. Just stumbled upon it by doing things that I'd never seen before, or just experimenting. Now, it's always great to just do what's proven method to make things happen. But I promise you that if you go out there and just do all kinds of different things, random things, just take action, just think, and just do things, you'll probably stumble across some things that are really, really working for you. And just like what Herc said, I can't encourage you guys enough to just go out there and just put your thinking cap on, man, and don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to make a mistake. That will hold you back forever. Don't be afraid, and I say this to people, or I have said this to people in the past, conversing with, other partners and other people and other things, I'm kind of confident, I guess you would say, because my motto is you know what? If you break it, I'll fix it. So don't worry. Now, that's just me, because I tend to fix things all the time. I grew up fixing things, my father taught me how to fix things. We would fix things every single day. Even if it wasn't broke, we would just fix it. and so I would always just tell people, don't worry about breaking it. Let's do it. Let's break it. And then we'll fix it, and then we'll make it better. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, Herc. I just heard you saying that. And, in my experience throughout all my years of doing this, it's been that. Just do it. Take imperfect action and see what shakes out. And you'll be surprised how many times, just that little bit of action can just grow and grow and grow into something very, very meaningful.
Like Project Supremacy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff in there too, that it was just a crazy idea. Absolutely. Version 1 was a crazy idea.
This post I wrote on March 8th was literally the thought process behind it, and I'll read it first. Problems are obstacles on the path to success. If you're not encountering problems, you're either not on a path or you're on the wrong one completely. Solving problems allows you to learn, to improve, and to move forward. The most successful people have solved the most problems, thus they've advanced the furthest in their fields. Accept them, embrace them, and smash them. Seriously, go find some problems. And the reason I wrote that, and the reason that came out, was I was excited about something that was happening with Project Supremacy, because Project Supremacy, I'll tell you this, we've been in development of this tool now for 3 years. I don't even know anymore. But I'll tell you this, we've encountered nothing but problems along the way as software developers. Todd and I, we would fit like, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? And we would just go. And to be honest, like the schema builder was one of the biggest ones, because when we went from the V2 schema builder to the V3 schema builder, and even in putting in schema in the first place, when Todd was the one that said to me, look, V2 should have this thing called schema. And I didn't even know what schema was, right? So how did I go from a point in like 2 years of not even knowing what schema is to building what I believe to be one of the best schema products on the market? Well, it's just figuring it out and running into those problems head first and learning and forcing yourself to learn and get better, right? So, I mean, not trying to harp on this issue or whatever, but there's nothing better than taking action when you run into a problem. And even if you're fucking it up, it doesn't matter. As long as you're learning something, you're going to get better at it. And that's just kind of the way it is, really. Lenny, when doing SEO optimization in a local market, is there any specific types of schema to use in the ranking? Local business, organization, stuff like that. local business usually is I use local business. I know Terry he likes organization over local business, but I mean, really, they're local business, a thing like that. So when you're going to add a new schema, you know, the first thing, if you're working with, say you're working with a doctor, what type of schema do I add for a doctor? I would come to the schema and I would type in doctor and see if something comes up. No, it doesn't come up. What about physician? Okay, physical activity court, physical exam, physical therapy, all physician. So let's load physician and see what it says. A doctor's office. So if you're working with a doctor, that's likely probably the best schema to use. Now, if you're working with someone who is, you know, they cut grass, landscaping, let me see if there's a landscaper. So there's not really a landscaper, right? Well, then, well, what does it have? What do we have? We have landmarks and landform. So if you're working with a landscaper and there's not a specific schema for landscaping, there's two more you could go to. You could go to local business, which is kind of a particular physical business or branch of an organization, or you can go up one level to organization, right? And then you have educational organization, government, medical organization, right? So you always kind of start most specifically. If it doesn't exist, start backing off from there and going less specific. Now, I just named off a couple of things that I obviously had to know existed. Like if you were looking, if you didn't know about schema at all and you came in here and you typed in doctor and you didn't find anything, you could type in maybe physician, then you would. But if that didn't exist, if you're doing landscaping, you might not know about local business, right? But I just told you. So that's how you know, is kind of, you get on these training webinars, you learn, you go into groups, you ask questions, because someone's going to know what is a good schema type to use on that. So definitely be using the resources you have available to you when you have a question and you don't know how to get it answered. Guys, use the Project Supremacy group. There's some badasses in there that really know their shit, and ask your questions in there as well, because you'll get some great answers, and it does, you know, get a conversation going where you'll get a bunch of stuff going. Rick, when you want to report something that may or may not be an error, is it better to send an email to support or sway the chat box on the PSv3 dashboard? Okay, basically, guys, we have two supports. One is an email-based, you know, like supremacy.freshdesk.com. Typically, that's more for our other products. So Project Supremacy, excuse me, let me just drink of water. I got a bug in my throat. Okay, so that's more for like the supremacy.freshdesk.com is more for other products, including Project Supremacy V2, SurpTech, Local Supremacy, stuff like that. 100% if it's a V3 related issue, use the V3 chat box in your app, right? When you're inside of app.projectsupremacy.com, use this chat box for support. But don't ask us in here about AMP. Go to the Fresh Desk for that. And I know we don't kind of specify that, but. Sorry, let me grab another drink of water here, guys. Okay. Mike says he broke a shitload of things last night and actually fixed it and went to bed. Durenda, you apologize for getting on here late, so this question may have been asked. If you were creating articles for duplicating Google categories for a service 3 company, would you have the schema as an article or a service? Then when creating a page for each unincorporated area, what type of schema would you use for those pages / article? Article is about an article. Typically to me, an article it's something that you write, you know, an article on a subject. But if you're creating a page that is for a service of a company, you would want to use like a company-based schema, right? Just always remember, what is my page about? What is the thematic of my page? What is the subject matter of my page? Is it talking about a specific service of a business? Is it just, you know, some article talking about a certain topic? And that's the schema type that you want to add for that specific thing. Does that kind of answer your question, Durenda? Because I don't really know your situation other than your question. You're saying you're creating articles for duplicating Google categories, but I can't see what you're doing. So can't really fully answer in your specific scenario what the best thing is to do. All I can say is, look, know what your basic subject matter is about and apply the best schema to it. Rick, you should talk to the Hoth. They're still recommending Yoast and don't even mention PSv3. I've emailed them, but maybe you should too. I don't know the Hoth. Todd, do you know Hoth? I've heard the name.
Yeah, they're like an SEO white label link building service. I can't remember exactly what they offer, but
there are some big groups out there in the SEO space that don't want to come near us. It's not because we have a bad product. It's because we have a good product, and they don't want to help us. There's still politics in the world, unfortunately, right? Okay, Duranda, good. We're getting to about the 1 hour mark here, guys, and I am way ahead of you in questions. I'm completely caught up. So, I mean, anybody else? I think I'm going to only ask that like 5 times each webinar, so. I'll give you guys a few minutes and edit out the silence when I do the replay. Nothing? Everybody good then? We do them weekly, so if you do come up with more questions. Is everybody in the group? In the Facebook group? Except for these 3 people? Oh, Danny, that's my bud. We'll prove her. Billy Watson hasn't answered our questions, so I don't know, Billy. I don't know. I'm waiting for you to answer questions. Any other questions, guys? Can you give us a schema sample for an e-commerce product? Well, I don't do e-com, but I do product-based schema, which is, to me, it would be the same thing. If you have a product per page, I would mark up the product on that page. So if I go to schemas and I go to my Bitcoin site, okay, notice I have 2 products in there that I marked up, and then I put aggregate rating and brand in that product. So here's the product schema, render it out. But if you guys want to look at that particular page and steal that schema, this is the URL right here, guys, that has product schema on it, okay? And I'll give you that URL, and you can always duplicate it if you want to use it. Let me see if I can go through it a bit. So let's see what I have for product schema, okay? I have an aggregate rating. I have a brand, and I'll go through each of those. Actually, we can open these up. So let's see what I'll do these one at a time. So my product, I have an aggregate rating, a brand, a description, an image, the name of the product, the same as markup of the product, the actual official website is the URL, and then the URL of the item, which is the URL of the page that I am doing the markup for, okay? Then we go into aggregate rating. Okay, so let's open up our aggregate rating schema. Okay, and we'll view what do we have for aggregate rating. We have our best rating, URL to the image, the item reviewed, the name of the thing that I am putting the rating on, the rating counts, values, review counts, which we don't need those anymore because Project Supremacy takes care of it when you're using natural reviews. The URL of the item that I'm reviewing or where I'm reviewing it, okay? And then the item that I'm reviewing is the company BitClub Network. So let's look at that one. I'll just do it this way. Here's the thing, Okay. The description of the thing, Bit Club Network, is the product that I'm reviewing on that page. An image of their logo, the main entity of the page, which is their company, the name of the thing I'm reviewing, the same as markup in the URL, right? So I'm marking up all that stuff. And then I also have a brand, and I'm marking up their brand, not my brand. So Bit Club Network brand, an image, so an image to their logo, another logo. The main entity of the page, oh, that's USI Tech. I think I have the wrong URL there for sure. Same as markup for them, because remember, I'm marking up their brand and their product. So the brand is them, the product is their product. There's their links, so they're same as their official Twitter, their official Facebook, and then the URL of the item. And look at these, I even got these wrong. Doesn't matter. Schema's still working. It might be doing better if I had those items correct. Let me see. Indicates a page or other creative work for which the thing is the main entity. So really what they're looking for is this. There we go. And I think I saw one more thing about USI Tech. Oh yeah, the logo of the URL is wrong here. So let me get that image. I'll use the same logo. There we go. I just updated my schema. Mike, it seems like when you put a 0 in the field for aggregate rating, it kicks back an error. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Because when you build a schema and supply it, so let me, does this one have aggregate? Okay, it does. So let me see what we got here. Best rating, worst rating. Okay, so all you really have to put now when you're building your aggregate rating, if you're going to use natural reviews, okay, meaning you're actually going to collect reviews with the form, like the Project Supremacy form on the box, all you have to supply when you're building your aggregate rating is the best rating and the worst rating. Okay, you don't have to worry about rating count, rating value, and review count. Those will auto-populate themselves. So before I had told you to put in zeros, but we've updated our software so you don't have to update those anymore. Until you have a review, the count will remain at 0, and Google will say, well, you can't have 0 reviews. So what I recommend there, Mike, is putting in the first rating or review yourself. Okay, so like let's actually go look at this in a little more detail. So let's go to this site. Is this? Oh, of course that site's dead. Okay, no problem. We can always generate the schema. So let's duplicate renaming. I'll put it somewhere else. Let's put it on printer repair Winnipeg. We already have local business. Default aggregate rating. Okay, let's go look at printer repair Winnipeg. I don't even have to do it that way. I'm being stupid. Okay, so here's our printer repair Winnipeg. Let's see what we have for schema. We have our default local business schema set up there. And to look at our default local business, we do have aggregate rating. Okay, we have address, aggregate rating, and then our aggregate rating is set to rating count and a rating value. So we're faking it right now is what's happening, but we have to consider on the plugin side, are we going to use natural reviews or are we going to supply reviews? So let me show you the connection between those two. And we'll see what we're actually using on this site. So you can see I haven't touched the site in a long time, so long in fact that Project Supremacy version 2 is still on there. But if we go into our, let's see, I can tell what pages I have it on. So our home page has our schema on it. So let's go into our home page for that site. Okay, there it is, front page. I'm going gonna go to the editor, make sure the schema is loaded on the PSSEO box. There's the old one. Here's the new one. We'll move that up. Yeah. Okay, there's my schema. So it might be V2 that has schema on it. Let me see. Let me just take that plugin off. Actually, when this is something you guys should see, I do have V2 and V3 on here, and when I notice something like that, what I usually do is go to V3, and I'll go into this, Mike, more, but I'll take this step first. I always go to migration and I check. So I see that these are orange. That means they're already migrated. I've already migrated all my data from V2 into V3. So now I can get rid of V2. So let me go do that first so that we can make sure we're working with a clean slate. Okay, Project Supremacy version 2. We're going to deactivate it. There's V3. It is updated. Okay. And I'm going to just delete it. I don't need it anymore on here. So now I'm going to go into V3 and I'm going to go into our reviews section, which is our collecting reviews. And I want to see how I have it set up. Okay, so I go to Customize tab. And right now here, this is the one that I was talking about, natural reviews. When this is turned off, you have to tell Google what the reviews are. So you have to say, here's my rating count and here's my rating value. So let's go look at this page and see if it's actually got schema errors on it, okay? So I'm gonna open this link in a new tab. We're gonna run this into the structured data testing tool and see what happens. And then I'll fix it so that it looks and operates better. Okay, here's our entire stuff. There's a lot of schemas here. We have web page, organization, local business, image art, creative work. Is it all ours? Let's start looking. Web page. Okay. Div class stat counter, web analytics, stat counter. For some reason, it's picking up that as a web page. That's not ours. That's a JavaScript from obviously stat counter, so I don't need to worry about that. Organization. Okay, it's another div class. Have no idea how that got in there. I'm going to ignore it for now. It's probably theme related, to be honest. Local business, which has 2 errors, and then there's sub-local businesses. There's one local business, and then there's a second local business. Let's look at who's supplying these. There we go. Schema data by Project Supremacy, right? So now this is the schema that I know is put in there by Project Supremacy, so I can start error-freeing this. Now, let's fix things and look at things. So it's saying there's a nasty error. You don't have a value for your image field in local business. Let me check the other one and see if it's basically the same. Yeah, it's basically a duplication. So let's fix all this shit. So I have 1 error and 1 warning. Errors you want to fix, warnings are up to you. Okay. The error is the image is required in the local business schema. So let's go put an image in there. So I'll just grab a URL of this logo. So I'm going to copy the image address. And I'm going to go back to my schema for Printer Repair Winnipeg, and I'm going to go into my local business schema, right? And I'm going to search for image. There it is. Notice it's not there. We're going to add it. I'm going to save it. We're going to run the test again. And I'll get to the review stuff still. I've got that in mind where we're going with this. I'm just going to clean shit up before I do it. Okay, now we've gotten rid of the error. We want to get rid of the warning. The price range field is recommended. Okay, we might as well get rid of the warning too. So we're going to open up Printer Repair Winnipeg. We're going to open up local business because that's where the error exists. Okay, now I'm going to press Control F and look for price range. There it is. And I'm going to say $100 to $1,000. Typical price range to fix a printer, depending on the size and print of the printer, blah, blah, blah. It's up to you what you want to say there. Okay, so done. And notice local business now only has 1 entry, which is good. It was probably V2 that was creating the second entry. So we're going to run a new test. Okay, so now everything's good. Okay, image object, I'm not sure who's supplying that. It's likely the theme that's doing these item scope, item type props. Okay, schema.org. That's likely a theme that's doing that. So I'm not going to worry too much about it since it's error free anyways. The one I am going to worry about is the big one, okay, the JSON LD, and that is supplied by Project Supremacy because you can see it is in comments. There's the opening comment, there's the closing comment. It is now error-free. Okay, and now we have to go back to our settings, and here we're realizing natural reviews are turned off. I'm kind of getting back on track now. Natural reviews means, are you collecting and displaying reviews naturally from your website from real users, yes or no? Right now we have it set to no. Okay, so if you have it set to no, but you still want stars to show up for your site in Google, even though people aren't actually submitting reviews, okay, you never get it on the home page, but I do have it on the contact page. Okay, so you can notice the rating is 4 out of 5 and it's over 12 votes. Where did that come from? I supplied it. I said, I'm lying basically with my schema, right? So let's go to printer repair Winnipeg, local business. Our aggregate rating is where the stars come from. So we'll look at it, okay? And there's the match, okay? There's 12 reviews and the average rating is a 4. 12 reviews, average rating is a 4. 12 reviews, average rating is a 4. So that's a lying schema. It still works. Now, this is the kind of schema that I put on SerpTech sites, right? Now, if I want to be real about it, what we're going to do to change that up, and where we get to the zero stuff, Mike, is, okay, I'm going to turn on natural reviews, meaning people have to submit a review for it to actually count towards the aggregate rating score. The other options that I can have here are using per page reviews or not. And what that means is if someone submits a review on a specific page on the website, it will only apply to that page versus if I leave it off, no matter where they leave a review, it will count anywhere I have aggregate rating supplied on my site. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn on natural reviews. I'm going to save our changes. I'm going to look at our site now because now we're going to supply natural reviews. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open this up and I'm going to only add 2 things. Okay, best rating 5 because I'm actually getting a 1 to 5 star rating here, and I'm looking for actual reviews with words, not ratings, just stars only. So I'm going to do best rating 5, and I'm going to do worst rating right here. Okay, I have 1, and I'm going to save that schema. Oh yeah, and now this is what I had told you guys to do before. Put these at 0, right? So what we're going to actually do though, Mike, is get rid of them. It's going to be the same effect. So now there's my my default schema. All I have in it, my aggregate rating schema. All I have in it now. Click these, is rating value and worst rating. Now, is that good aggregate rating schema? No. Obviously, you'd want to add the stuff that matters, like description, maybe an image, you know, the name of the item. And I'll probably get a bunch of errors when I run this. But we're going to just do those 2 things for now. Okay. And then we're going to go assign that schema to, well, it's already assigned. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go collect some reviews. So right now, there are no reviews for the site because I was faking it for Google. So we're going to go legit. We're going to go from spammy review or spammy schema to legit schema. So I've already done the things that I needed to do. I've turned on natural reviews. I've updated my schema so that, oops, I deleted the wrong one. Rating value, I want to get rid of. Okay, and then best rating is a 5. Okay, the bare bones basics, best rating and worst rating. Okay, 5 stars or 1 star. So now let's go to any page. Let's go look at our site, and we're going to look for a spot to put this review collection box. Okay, here's our actual site. So we need to maybe collect some reviews. So there's a couple ways I can do it. Reviews, right? Create a page called reviews. and then I need to put in a place to collect the review, and then I need to put in a place to display the review, right? So let's do the collect the reviews first. So what I'll do is I'll go back over here to my shortcodes, okay, and use to display the review widget where users can leave their reviews. So let's grab this shortcode, and we're going to collect reviews here, and then I'm going to put one of these, let's go to the visual. I'm going to put one of those lines here, and then I'm going to display, that's collecting reviews, then I'm going to display reviews over here. And then you have a bunch of options. I'm not going to go through them. You guys can read what these options are. We're just going to leave them on the basics. Okay. So let's publish that. Now let's go look at that page. Okay. Looks like shit kind of, but whatever. You guys will have to do your own design elements and stuff like that. So now we're set up to kind of go in review of everything that we've done. Let's go back to, sorry, too many pages open. Okay, natural reviews on. We're not using per page reviews, so it doesn't matter where they leave a review. It will display everywhere that I display reviews, but we're only going to show it on one particular page, so it's kind of going to be, it'll work out that way. So I'll update that page. Open that link in a new tab. Okay, there it is. I think I have it open twice. And I'm going to leave a review. Actually, let's do the test first, so I'll show you why the 0 matters, Mike. So let's grab this. Let's go to structured data testing tool, do a new test, run the test. I probably don't have that local business schema on there. Okay, I don't. I can see that, so I need to obviously apply the schema to that page. This is all not Project Supremacy stuff. It's the theme related schema, and I just realized this as I was building this that I don't have the schema. So now let's go assign that schema to a page. So let's go to websites, and we're going to do Winnipeg. We're going to go over to schemas. Okay, and then we're going to switch pages. Here it is, reviews. I'm going to select this page to add schema to, and then I'm going to add our schema to that, our local business schema to the reviews page. So we're going to save those changes. Okay, done. Now we'll run the test again. Okay, there it is. 2 errors. Field and rating value may not be empty. 1 of the rating or review count must be provided. Those are kind of the errors you're seeing, Mike, right? But if you would have put a 0, you would have seen a different error, which is kind of what I had recommended before. So let's do that, and I'll show you where you're actually getting your specific error. But we created a fix for this in our plugin. That's why it doesn't, oh yeah, wrong site. Winnipeg. Local business, default, aggregate rating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you the old way that we used to do things. Rating count 0, rating value 0 is what I said to do before, right? And I'm going to show you why this doesn't matter. Sorry, not rating count, review count. Well, we'll just do 0s for all of them because this is kind of what I had taught before. So let's save that schema. And now we're going to run this test over here again and get a different set of errors. Hopefully that saved. I didn't do that too fast. I think I did it too fast. Okay, there we go. Field rating value may not be empty. Maybe it's just the same thing, but let me show you what happens, okay? Even though we're getting errors, it doesn't matter what the error is, let me show you the fix now, because it's gonna be the same no matter what happens. I'm gonna go to my reviews page and I'm gonna leave my review. Okay, and I'm gonna leave a 4-star review, and I'll submit it. And it doesn't matter if you're using an actual review or a rating, okay? Once it's in, you want to approve it. So you'll go to your dashboard, you'll see a new review coming up, right? And you'll see this, I'll show you the places that you'll see this. You'll see it show up here and you can edit or approve it. The other place you'll see it is here when you're in the dashboard, the actual management of that particular website. You'll see it here, okay? The third place you'll see it is actually in your WordPress blog. If you go to V3 reviews, you'll see it here, okay? So 3 places, in your dashboard right here, in your dashboard under the website manager under reviews here, or in your actual website under the reviews column, wrong tab, right here. So either way, it doesn't matter where you approve it, where you edit it, whatever you do. Once it's approved, okay? Now it's approved, so let's run this again. Okay, something's wrong, but I'm gonna go check out why. Because those errors should now go away, but it's not updating itself. So let's go check on it. Let's go check that the dashboard one disappeared. Yeah, it did over here. And let's go check that the review over here is approved. And I'll synchronize it just because synchronizing is always good. So it is approved because I show an unapproved. Let's go to the actual page itself and refresh it. Okay, there's the review there. So it should be in there. Let's run a new test. Let me do one last thing because I'm seeing that everything is set up correctly, but it's not taking for some reason. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to reassign the schema, okay, to that particular page. What was your fix, Mike? Because Mike just said this is what he went through and fixed last night. Okay, because I know the schema's right. I know everything's right. It's just Google's not picking up the changes. So all I'm going to do is reassign the schema and save the changes, and then get my developers to check if there's a bug. Won't be my last step. Okay, so let's do a new test. There it is. So I just had to reassign the schema, okay? And now what it changes to, yeah, it's kind of a caching problem. Now what it changes to is the aggregate rating is, remember I supplied it as a best of 5 and a worst of 1, but the rating value and the rating count now are auto-populating themselves. So let's do another one just to show you. So remember, I left a 4-star review and I'm the only one that's left a review. That's why we have a value of 1 review count and the rating value is a 4. So now if I go leave a 5-star review on that same page, okay, so let's do Ted. Not as good as HERE. Okay, and maybe let's do a 2-star. Okay, he's going to submit his review. Once again, we're going to have to approve the review or deny the review or edit the review, or we have to do something with it, but we're just going to approve it because we're honest. But we could change his review to a 5-star and change it if we wanted to, but that's up to you on your ethical standards. Okay, we'll refresh the page. Okay, and now we have 2 reviews, not as good as HERE, not as good as Ted. And I'm gonna add one little thing so that you guys can just see how this works. In the shortcodes, some of the options that you can do are show the aggregate rating and the total values left. So we're gonna add an element to our shortcode. So aggregate rating equals 1. So let me go change that on the page in the shortcode because I don't see my total summary of reviews. So I'm gonna add it. Okay, so reviews aggregate rating equals 1. And you could do this on widgets too, guys. It doesn't have to be shortcodes. Shortcodes are just better for when you're placing your review stuff actually on your page or within your content. And then obviously the widgets, which will work a little easier because you just have to tick boxes, are for your sidebars and stuff like that, right? So you once again, you do have options. So let's refresh this page and you'll see a new thing come up. Okay, a 0.3 rating from 2 reviews. Now, Google, this auto updates itself as people are leaving reviews, and this populates the aggregate rating, which is what Google is going to see. So we should be able to see that change now if we run that test. Okay, local business. So now we have a rating value. Our second review is in, okay? And our overall rating score is 3. The first one was a 4, the second one was a 2. Those average out to 3. And now it auto updates itself. Okay, so the whole point of this, Mike asked the question, I get the zeros, and that was just to show you guys like the entire process of, you know, fixing that problem and adding reviews and making things look good. And any questions based on all that stuff, guys? Now what I could do, guys, is if I had reviews, the other thing I could do, if I wanted, I could put a new link in the menu called reviews, right? And link it to this page. The other thing I could do is each page that had a service, I could create an aggregate rating for that service, turn on per page reviews, and then people are actually reviewing that particular service, but every page has a different set of reviews and a different aggregate rating, right? Whereas this is kind of a site-wide review option. The other thing, guys, is if I do add what do you call it? A short or a widget. So let's go to appearance widgets. Okay, and then you can see we have the 2 widgets right here, display reviews and review widget. So let's do a display reviews. Okay, and then you have the options here. Do you want to limit your displayed reviews? Like if you had 50 reviews and you only want to show, you know, 5 of them, you could, and then you could display random reviews, and then you could display the aggregate rating, right? And then you could hide this on certain pages or only show it on certain pages, lots of options. So I'm going to put in the display reviews in the sidebar. I don't even know if I have a sidebar post on this. Probably the reviews page might have it. It's kind of redundant. So let me go create a post so that you guys can see what it looks like in a post. Okay, so maybe this printer repair company also does toner sales. Okay, we do toner sales. Okay, whatever. And you'd want your PSSEO on so you can do all that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now if we go to this page, we'll see the sidebar widget displaying the reviews of the reviews page. But all it's doing is displaying what was submitted on the reviews page. Okay, let me get this. Let me check my review widgets. Primary sidebar. Here, let's get rid of some of this stuff. Let's delete the meta. Let's delete the categories. Let's delete the archives. I'm only going to do the reviews just to keep it nice and clean. I guess I could just do this. Okay. Okay, done. So it's not displaying reviews. Why not? Let me check. Natural reviews, use per page reviews. That's weird. That should be showing. Might be a theme conflict. Let me see this. Let's put the short code there and see if the short code will show. And we'll know if it's a theme conflict. And it could be that I'm not like exercising the theme the right way, right? Because I didn't build this site. I had someone build it for me. Okay, this is what's supposed to be showing in the sidebar. The reason that it's not, I'm guessing, is likely a theme issue with this particular theme. And what theme am I using? Beaver Builder. So it could be that. So let's just do this. Let's activate a different theme. Just to double test if it's a theme conflict. Doesn't seem to be. Let's go to this one. Did I make this a page or a post? It is a post. Yeah, I don't know why it's not displaying. Another thing for the. This would just be another area where you guys would submit a support ticket to us, and then we'd have to look at it. I think it's a theme issue, but I'm not sure why the theme isn't really changing. It's supposed to be 2014 here. There we go. But this particular page just is being sticky and not switching. So I think it's a theme issue.
You know, Beaver Builder has given us some fits in the past.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of the ones. And we tried to talk to them, and we just really didn't get any good feedback from them. They weren't very helpful. So Beaver Builder does have some known issues that we haven't been able to solve because they don't help us.
Here we go. I'm getting somewhere. This will tell me right away if it's a theme issue or not. Header right, primary sidebar. Oh, it's still there. Let's put it on the secondary sidebar too, just in case. I think it is a Beaver Builder issue though. Yeah, it totally is. Don't use Beaver Builder. But you guys, hopefully that was helpful, even though I ran into issues. What does it mean when you do a Google structured data test and it says detected, but you don't see anything on the right side field? Never seen that happen before, Mike. You'll have to show me an example of a URL where I can see that. Fuck you, Beaver Builder. Yeah, definitely a theme issue here. Oh my God, that was 30 minutes of talking. Anybody else got any more questions on anything I just showed, or I'll give you guys like 1 minute to ask your question. And then if not, we'll just end the webinar at that. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Rick, you've tested a few competitor websites in Google structured data tested, but most don't seem to have any schema, or says it's detected but no schema. I've never seen that. That's weird. One of you guys send me a URL, because I've never seen schema detected, but it doesn't show anything. I would assume that it would be, if that was happening, it would be, what do you call that? The microdata format. But I've never run into that yet. Like it always shows something. Oh, there. And of course, the WP login page. Oh, you know what? Is this what you're talking about? Okay, so what's happening here is this is just a name of a field. It's saying, here's what we detected, and it's blank. So they literally detected nothing. But it's just a header name. It doesn't mean something was detected. It means the shit below is what is detected, right? Does that make sense? It only shows up if something's actually detected. It's just maybe a dumb name to choose. I guess that's the other thing to show you guys too, is as reviews start getting left, they're actually added to your schema, right? Remember, I left the first review, Ted, and then just was not as good as Herc, and then here's the review right here, the first one. It got added in, and then here's the actual review, the second one. Those actually automatically get added to your schema with the V3 forms and shit like that. All right, guys, I guess that's probably going to be about it. No more. Oh, Rick. So if all of your competitors don't have schema, does that mean if we use schema, we should beat them even if they're on page 1 or number 2 on the page? Let me answer your question with a question, Rick. Is schema the only element that is required to rank a site? Okay, so then if it's not the only element, can a site that doesn't have schema beat out a site that does? Yes. with question marks. Well, yeah, schema is not the only requirement, right? That's kind of my point there, Rick, is like, just because other sites don't have schema and yours doesn't mean that you're going to rank above them, because maybe that site has a lot more authority, or maybe they have more backlinks, or maybe they've done a better job of on-page optimization. It's not the only ranking factor, is the point, right? All things equal, if two sites were, and if Google allowed this, if two sites were word for word and design for design, the exact same thing, and the only difference was one had schema and the other did not, and Google allowed duplicates into their index, the one with schema would beat out the other. But I mean, it's not fair to say because I have schema and you don't that I should beat you out, because it's just not the only element that Google considers. It's definitely helpful though. Okay, guys, let's leave it at that for today. Hopefully some of this mumbo jumbo was, it was a little sloppy today with things not working and me finding bugs live on a webinar, which is definitely not what I love to do, but hopefully you guys still learned a little bit, and give me a 1, hopefully, if you did learn some stuff here. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. 111, great Webby. Okay, good. As long as you guys are still learning shit. Some days are going to be great. Some days aren't going to be as great like today, but as long as you guys are happy, you'll come back. Every Tuesday, get to the webinar replay pages, guys. I'll have this one uploaded tonight or tomorrow. I always try and do it tonight, of course. And join the group. If you're not in the group, ask your questions in the group, and we will see you guys next week, I guess.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.